I've never really had the best jobs in my life. I didn't have any specific aspiration or any real goal in my life. I assumed that everything would come to me in time, but I just wasn't sure how much time. I don't want to sound like I was unhappy with my life, because that's completely false. I loved it. My job was fun, even though many people may disagree with my views. I worked the day shift at a gas station, just outside of a peaceful and fairly friendly town. The interactions I had with people were enough to fuel me, to make sure that more and more people were satisfied. The pay wasn't great, but that didn't really bother me. My manager was really relaxed, and created a welcoming atmosphere for me. He allowed me the freedom to do what I thought was best for the business, and I always liked that about him. One day, as I was in my final hour after a 9-hour shift, my manager approached me and gave me the offer to work overtime for a good amount of cash. I willingly accepted, but not just for the money. I didn't really know too much about the night shift, but I did know how peaceful and empty it could be. I wouldn't even have to do that much, just stand around and wait. They told me that the next vacancy for me was in 2 days' time. After they fully briefed me, I was sold. I packed up my stuff and swiftly left, ready to head home and sleep. The day came, and I wasn't worried or opposed to the idea of working more, especially at night. I'd always been a night person before working, and would frequently take walks at night to gather my thoughts before exams and things like that. I figured that the amount of boredom equated to the money that I would receive, and so it seemed like a fair deal, and I decided to trust my boss. After all, they weren't the type to exploit their workers. I arrived slightly early, and my boss was waiting for me. He explained to me that my colleague, who was asked to run the day shift, was ill, and he had to fill in for them. He also explained that he was going to be in the back, sorting out some business deals, and that if I needed anything, to go straight to him. He then gave me one of his trademark smiles, and tapped on the shoulder, and disappeared into the back room. Things were running really smoothly. I was able to fully relax. I didn't need anything from my manager, and the only customers were the truckers who needed extra fuel and drinks for their journey. I was scanning the CCTV cameras. That was a luxury we'd only just installed, and I noticed a man wearing a large coat and a woolly hat, just standing outside the doors. He was out of sight from where I was looking behind the counter, and only visible on the CCTV cameras. I zoomed in to try and get a better view, but when I zoomed in and looked closer, he was gone. Perplexed, I checked the other cameras, and once finished, looked up from the panel, only to see the man standing in front of the counter. He was about 6'5" and had a pale, bony face, and long, skinny limbs, like a smaller version of Slender Man. His gaze seemed fixated behind me, and looked directly past me, as if I wasn't there. I greeted him and asked what he needed, but he didn't reply. He only continued to stare. Suddenly, the guy leaned down in front of me, giving me little room to look away, and stared at me dead in the eyes. He said, "Where is everyone?" I was a little taken aback after he said this, and I guess he must have read the puzzled expression on my face. He smirked and repeated his question. I said that me and my manager were the only two people in the shop, and his face fell slightly. This was a huge red flag for me. I tried to change the subject, but before I could, he thanked me and walked out the door. I rushed to the back to tell my manager what happened, but he told me not to worry, and that if he tries anything again to call the police. This reassured me a little bit, but I decided it was important to get back to work and put this behind me. A few hours passed, and I was approaching the end of my shift. The sun was still not visible, and nothing else noteworthy had happened. It had been a short while since I had checked the cameras, but I let my curiosity speak, and what I saw made me tremble. That guy was back, and he was heading towards the back room. I knew it was locked, but when he arrived, he opened the door with ease. But what I saw next was absolutely horrifying, the worst thing I'd ever seen in my life. The man re-emerged, dragging the lifeless body of my manager out. He looked up to the camera and gave me a chilling look, one which sent shivers down my spine. While still looking at the camera, he pulled out a phone and started to type something. I then received a message from my manager's phone, which said, "Where is everyone?" The man let out a huge laugh, as if to mock me, and that sent me into a frenzy. I knew I had to get out of there, but I didn't know how without him seeing me. I devised a plan where I'd follow him out the way he went, and sprint to my car and drive away. I knew he would most likely target the counter, and so trying to follow his footsteps was my best bet, due to the fact you can't access the counter directly through the back room. You would have to go around through the front door. I waited until he was out of sight, and I had built up enough courage to run, and put my plan into action. I'm glad to say that it worked tremendously, and I escaped, with the last memory I have being the frustrated expression on the man's face that I saw from my mirrors. It's been months since that incident, and I still don't know where I want to go with my life. I'm glad to say the man got caught and charged with murder, even though he tried to frame me for killing the manager. I can't fathom how somebody like that can exist, but I'm just glad I escaped with my life, and I know for certain that I will never work the night shift ever again.